And welcome back to the final episode of How to Survive 2025. I'm Brian Keene.
I'm Dacia M. Arnold.
I am Jim Cobb.
And folks, it is now 2025. If recording had gone as we planned, I would have been saying that the first week of January, and you'd already have all the information and knowledge. But of course, uh, real life intruded, as you will find that it does in every aspect of everything you do, uh, be it recording a podcast or prepping.
Mhm.
The important thing to note is that it's never too late to start prepping.
Mm-hmm.
Over the course of the last 24 episodes, we have avoided politics, we have avoided bullshit, and we have presented to you step by step basic information and then also advanced information, courtesy of Jim, uh, so that anyone who's listening or viewing this podcast can take simple, basic steps to safeguard themselves and their loved ones and their homes and their property. Um, Now, maybe you only started listening today, in which case, well, 2025 is already here. It's too late. But is it too late, Jim?
No, no. It's never too late. I mean, the best time to have started prepping is maybe a year ago. The next best time is right now.
That's
You
right.
know, there's nothing wrong with starting today.
Mhm.
And one of the things that we tried to stress all through the last, 2 dozen episodes is this doesn't need to be a life altering endeavor. Okay. Live to prep, or don't live to prep to live.
Mhm.
Okay. It should be part of your life, but it shouldn't run your life. It shouldn't be a monumental financial burden either. One of the things we tried to focus on are simple, easy things anybody can do that aren't going to impact the wallet a whole lot, but will position you into a much better position come what may. Now,
So,
go ahead. Go ahead.
so Jim, over the course of the last, it's been more than 24 weeks. It's been almost
Yeah.
6 months
Yeah.
since we started this. Has there been anything that, now you're our expert, and don't try to be humble about this. I think you
Yeah.
have more than proven that at this point between the three of us. Is there anything that you learned over the course of the last 6 months, or that has informed your processes or changed, or that you started doing that you weren't doing before?
Um, I think over the last several weeks in particular, um, I personally have felt more of an urgency to get as
Mm-hmm.
many people involved as I can, to get as many people on board and actively prepping as possible. And there are a variety of reasons for that. Some of them admittedly political, some of them not at all political. We don't do politics here.
Mm-mm.
Um, but I think, regardless of what brings you to the prepping table, it's time. It's time to start learning and start doing. One of the struggles that I've had in the prepping community is there are an awful lot of people who are very interested in preparedness, and they read all the books and they watch all the videos, and they absorb all this information, but that's where it stops.
Mm-hmm.
They don't get off the couch, they don't get out, away from the desk and actually do things. I mean, we're all writers, okay? How many people have we met in the course of our careers who tell us, you know what, I want to write a book. I've got a great idea for a book. I,
You
I
right.
I'm really excited about this idea, and they
Mhm.
talk about it nonstop, but they never produce.
Mhm.
Okay, I know Brian is really tired of me talking about this, but the best piece of writing advice I ever got in my entire life came from him. Ass in chair, fingers on keyboard. That's how it gets done.
And repeat as
Prepping
necessary.
is the
Mhm.
same.
I feel
Prepping
attacked.
is the same thing. You can talk about it all you want. You can think about it all you want. You can read about it all you want, but the work isn't going to get done if you don't do it.
And I know you're yelling at me, Jim. I know you are. Because like we talked about food in episode 4.
Yeah.
But I am proud that I was able to send you guys a picture
look at you
today.
now. Look at you now.
Of my ham and bean soup, nice and pressure canned and safe and from botulism. And I didn't blow up my kitchen with this pressure. Oh, it's like it's like a bomb.
Yeah.
But no, you guys have been, you haven't held my hand. You've just told me all the things that I already know. But then there's that sense of urgency over the past few weeks of, I remember when I spent $400 in groceries a week, and then I just left the grocery store yesterday having spent $400 and didn't even buy meat.
Yeah.
So it's $1,000 a month. Is next month going to be $2,000? Can we manage that? So buy what's on sale.
Yep.
And preserve it.
So let's do a thought experiment for our listeners.
Oh no.
Okay.
And let's go we've covered blizzards and wildfires ad nauseum on this show. Let's go with something that I feel could strike anywhere, not just here in America, but in the world. And I feel is very likely to happen this summer, because as the weather warms up, people are less wary of going outside in large groups, shall we say. I suspect, for our thought experiment, that this summer, let's say June, we're going to see mass civil and social and economic unrest. I think we're not talking politics here, folks, because it doesn't matter which side of the aisle you're on. I think all of you can see it and feel it coming. We're already starting to see it, as Dacia said, economically at the grocery store. We're about to start seeing it socially too, again, as the weather warms up. So, listeners, wherever you live, be it a house, be it an apartment, be it a condominium, whatever you're setting, stand there. And first of all, I'm going to take you episode by episode through this show. First one, don't panic. Like it says on the cover of the Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy. Get your mindset right. We covered that in episodes 2 and 3. First thing to focus on, food and water. Jim, if they're just starting today, what do you recommend for food and water? 2 weeks worth on hand?
I'd say a minimum 2 weeks. I think that's manageable for most people, both from a financial standpoint and from a storage standpoint. As we've talked about, this stuff takes up space. You have to have somewhere to put it. I would say 2 weeks, start there, and then keep adding to it from that point.
Yep. So go listen to episodes 4 and 5, where we go through that step by step. Again, keep your mindset tight. You're not going to panic. You're just going to amass a minimum of 2 weeks of food and water. When you're done with that, you can take a deep breath. You're going to evaluate your first aid and medical needs there in your apartment or your condominium or your house. Other things to keep in mind, what, guys? Prescription meds?
Prescription medications. If you can, go ahead and ask your doctor for a 3-month supply, 90 days. Typically, you might have to get prior authorization from your doctor in order for the pharmacy to fill it. But that's the world we live in. Your doctor's going to understand. The pharmacist is going to understand. Band-Aids, rubbing alcohol. Don't worry about Neosporin. Don't do it. Just use soap and water. Oh my gosh. Stock up. Soap is so expensive. Why? Stock up on soap and water. Stay clean. It's the best thing you can do for your health.
That's right. So we've now taken you through episodes 1 through 6. At this point, you're good on food. You're good on water. You're good on first aid. Now you're going to take a look that where you live.
One addition,
Oh,
I got to interrupt you for a second. One addition to the first aid stuff:
Mhm.
seek out a class in CPR,
Oh, yes.
seek out a class in general first aid, reach out to your local fire department or EMT units, see if they offer the training, and if they don't, they might be able to point you in the right direction. Many hospitals also offer these classes, and like the CPR stuff should be free. I mean, it shouldn't cost you out of pocket to go to a CPR class. General first aid, it might, but CPR is generally free.
One more, because I know a lot of people really, really concerned with government subsidized healthcare right now,
Mm-hmm.
and what that looks like in the future. Do not go to the doctor
Right.
because of your financial situation.
Mm-hmm.
I guarantee that if you don't make it through your ailment, that will be far more detrimental to those around you
that's right.
than bills that you
Mm-hmm.
can file bankruptcy for and be forgiven after 7 years. It just takes
Right.
patience. I understand that medical bills are the number one reason why people file for bankruptcy. It's not worth your life to avoid going to the doctor if you have chest pain, if you
Yeah.
cannot breathe, if you are bleeding and cannot stop it, if
Mm-hmm.
you cannot see for
If you
any
have a
reason.
wound that doesn't heal.
Oh, yes. Go to the doctor if you
Mm-hmm.
need to go to the doctor.
That's
Okay.
right. Um, where'd we leave off? Yeah, I guess episode 7.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
And really episodes 7, 8, 9, and 10 uh, deal with aspects of the same thing, and that
Mm-hmm.
is evacuation and being outside of your home.
Yep.
Bug out bags, situations such as hurricanes, mass shootings, and other violent events, wildfires, things of that nature.
I think
Um,
the coolest thing that we learned, or that I learned in these episodes, is deciding and setting a fine line of when to stay and when to go.
Yep.
yep, yep.
It's important to think that through.
Mm-hmm.
We also covered in episode 13 what to do with our furry and scaly and feathered friends, our pets.
Mm-hmm.
Um, Episode 12, for whatever reason, it's our least listened to episode. And it's probably one of our most important. So I'm gonna
Yeah.
put a pin in that for listeners. Episode 12 is all about financial prepping.
It's not
And
what you think. You can't pull money out of nowhere. We're not
Yeah.
telling you to shift.
Right.
I get why listeners may have skipped that one. It's not sexy. It's
No.
not, how to survive a mass shooting, or but financial prepping, it's one of the most important things we talked about here, because it's going to impact every one of you. No, you may never be involved in a mass shooting, a
Right.
salute. You may never be in an area where a hurricane or a wildfire or an earthquake comes.
Mm-hmm.
But financial uncertainty is absolutely going to touch you and impact you.
Mm-hmm.
If you are a member of society, unless you are living so far off the grid that carrier pigeons can't even reach you, financial uncertainty is going to impact you. So
And if you're living that far off the grid, odds are you're not watching this.
yeah, so, if you're that far off the grid, we should come and interview you and do a
Mm-hmm.
comeback show.
Yeah.
That's something.
But yeah, so
Honestly,
make sure
my
you're
theory about the why the financial end of it is so unpopular is because it's too real. I really genuinely think that. I think it's too real and too scary for a lot of people. They would much rather think about wildfires and mass shootings and things like that probably won't happen, rather than worrying about something that is almost guaranteed to touch them at some point in their lives.
Mhm.
Mm-hmm. And then the instant gratification of buying gear and
Yep.
using new gear and learning about
Mm-hmm.
new gear. is way sexier than being patient
Right.
and
And
saving.
that's a great segue, Dacia, because the rest of our episodes get into that sexy nitty gritty of buying gear and caring for your gear, communications, firearms, knives, etc., bug out bags, etc.
Yep.
Bottom line is, we don't charge for this show. It has been free. We didn't even sell advertisements for this
Nope.
show. Even though we could have. We have a lot of people interested, but we did not do that. The reason we did not do that is because we want you to have this information. This information is not something that should be charged for. It should be freely available. We hope that you will honor that by making use of it and spreading the word, And yeah, maybe you want to buy one of our books down the road. That's cool too, but it's not even about that.
I have a couple here. That I found very useful. And this is Jim Cobb's
That's right.
Prepper's Long-Term Survival Guide, as well as the Urban Prepper's Guide. Now, this one, I don't think this gets enough hype.
No,
Most people don't live in the woods.
Right.
And for the folks not watching on YouTube, Dacia is in fact holding up the Urban Prepper's Guide by our own Jim Cobb.
It's really pretty, and it has color pictures. If you live in town, if you live in a city, if you don't live in the woods, you live in the suburbs even.
Yeah. The thing is, I almost wish they would have titled it differently, because Urban Prepper is a turnoff for a lot of people who are interested in prepping, because the focus of prepping has always been to get out of the cities, yada, yada, yada. The thing about the Urban Prepper's Guide is it's not so much focused strictly on urban settings. It's focused on people who just don't have a lot of land. Whether you live in the city or the country, if you don't have acreage, a lot of times you feel like, okay, well, what am I going to do for prepping? I don't have massive gardens. I don't have massive buildings where I can store my stuff. This book is for you.
And most of us do rely on society, whether we own a brick and mortar business or a bookstore in town. We all rely on our neighbors, the businesses in our towns, things like that. And that book incorporates those things in a way that other prepping material does not.
I was really happy with the way it came out visually. The layouts and everything. It's really an eye-catching book. I really was pleased with it.
Nice and pretty.
All right. Well, any final thoughts for our
Is
listeners?
this it? Are we there?
Well, I mean, I looked at the headlines this morning, Dacia. We've got a tariff war. The situation in Eastern Europe is drastically changing by the hour, as is the situation in the Middle East. Mass layoffs here in America. Lots and lots of simmering civil unrest on both sides of the political aisle. Yeah, I'd say we're here, but I know what you would say to that. And I think our listeners would like to hear what you would have to say to that.
So the one thing that I would have to say is that it's going to be okay.
There you go. All right. Folks, thank you so much for joining us on this 24-episode journey. One more time, I'm Brian Keene. I can be found at briankeene.com. That's KEENE.com. My books are available just about anywhere, and it doesn't matter where you buy them. You can even buy them used. It's okay with me.
I'm Dacia M. Arnold. You can find me at Dacia M. Arnold, but Dacia is spelled DACIA, and everything else is normal. My books are there as well as How to Survive 2025. All of our episodes should be up in blog format soon. Hopefully by the time this airs. I can't believe it's over, guys. Jim, where can we find you?
I am active on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter/X, Blue Sky. I have a website, realworldprepping.com, that is in desperate need of being updated, but you can start there and you should be able to find me everywhere else. All of my books are on Amazon. I'm the editor-in-chief for Backwoods Survival Guide magazine, which is sold anywhere magazines are sold. And we have a new edition of Prepper Survival Guide magazine, which should be in stores at the time you're seeing this.
It is. I just saw it at my local convenience store yesterday.
Nice.
Yep.
I haven't left my house in a week.
Yeah, they had copies hidden behind other magazines, so I brought it up front
Yeah,
for you.
good job.
Perfect.
I'll rack it, but
Perfect.
all right, guys. Well, I appreciate both of you. Thanks for doing this with me. This crazy idea we had middle of last year, and we will see you soon. And folks, one more time, Dacia, let them know.
It's gonna be okay.
That's right. Peace.